everybody, and welcome to our Saturday lecture a little earlier today. We're very happy to welcome as our speaker Swami Harinamananda, who is a monk of the Ramakrishna Order and resident minister of the San Diego Monastery, Vedanta Society of Southern California. The Swami was born in the United States and received a master's in Socioeconomics from the University of California, Davis. He joined the order in 1996 at the Hollywood Center and served as Swami Swahananda's attendant for 5 years, after which he went to the Training Seminary at Belur Math for several years. Upon returning to America, he served in the Trabuco Monastery in California before taking his final vows as a monk in 2008. He has been serving as the resident minister at the San Diego Monastery since 2008 and currently also serves as the president of the Interreligious Council in San Diego. The subject of his talk today is Holy Mother seen through the lens of Sri Chandi. Swamiji, welcome.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone. Let's start off with the chant. Om Sarva Mangala Mangalye Shive Sarvartha Sadike Shranye Trambake Gauri Narayani Namostute Narayani Namostute Narayani Namostute. O Divine Mother, you are all auspicious, the fulfiller of all desires. I surrender to you again and again. Well, welcome everybody. I see some familiar faces here and some faces that I see in our Vedanta Life Academy as well. It's good to see everybody here. And Revered Maharaj, thank you so much for inviting me. And Diana, thank you so much. And the whole New York devotees here. So I was telling Swami Sarvapriyananda, I like the informal type of style and feeling. That's how I feel comfortable with. And so I like to make this more of a conversational type of feeling between us. I don't like to have the formalities. This talk is a little bit about Chandi, sort of in the light of Sri Sharda Devi. And when I originally thought about it, I have given talks on the Chandi. And I thought, okay, this sounds like an interesting subject of what happens if we put Sharda Devi as the Devi in the Chandi? What would that look like? Would the story change? So the idea was good, the framework. It's just maybe I didn't have maybe enough time to cook it out. So anyways, and I can use your help also in filling the details. So today, that's what we're going to do. We're going to have a little bit of a discussion on, I'm going to introduce you to the Chandi, the Devi Mahatmyam. I believe I gave a talk about the Chandi in New York about maybe a couple years ago. So that would be sort of a little prerequisite that would be needed for this talk, but because some of you probably haven't gone through that, we'll try to do this. I'm going to try to set you in a quick framework on what the Devi Mahatmyam, the Chandi, is. Just go through the story very quickly, and then what we're going to do is we're going to see if we replace Sharda Devi, Holy Mother, as the Devi in the Chandi, what would that scenario look like? That's sort of the goal of what we want to talk. And if there's any questions or discussions, feel free to just ask or let's engage. Okay, so let me share something with you on this screen here. If I can do that, yes, here we go. So in a way to introduce the Chandi, I thought, we can use the hero's journey. And the hero's journey was created by Joseph Campbell. It's actually a model. And what he did was he took all these different mythologies from around the world and he brought them together. And then he tried to discover what were some of the common themes that all these different mythologies had. And we're going to use his way to sort of explore the lens, through that lens, see the Chandi with, just to give us a brief overview of what it's about. And when you look at it, he found that every hero, every one of us, he'll say, goes through 4 parts in a journey. And we're all going through a journey in life. And these 4 parts are called separation, descent, ordeal, struggles, and return. And if we use this model to sort of decode the Chandi with, we're saying that in separation, there's a call to adventure. Each of us has a call to adventure. We're being pulled out of our known world. Because of why? Because of some crisis. Something has caused us to awaken us. It's caused something that feels uncomfortable. And we're going into leaving this known world. And in the Chandi, you'll find there are 2 characters. One is a king and the other is a merchant named Suratha and Samadhi. In the talk I gave in New York, I did go through all the symbolisms and the meanings behind this, and it's more detailed. I'm not going to go through that. I just want to give you an overview here. So what you find is that these 2, the king and the merchant, get separated from their kingdom and family due to a war and betrayal. They enter into a deep forest, and in that deep forest, they find themselves confused, breaking away from what they know. Here, they meet a mentor, and the mentor is named Mavis. And the mentor tells them why they're suffering. They're suffering because of attachment. Their attachment they have to their family, their attachment to the kingdom. And he explains the reason for their pain, that it's caused by Mahamaya, the Divine Mother. She has put them into this delusion, but she can also remove it. And she guides them into the source of their problems and how to remove it. What he does is he takes them into an unknown world that are described by the 3 stories, where they descend into the deeper layers of their mind and they discover their obstructions. And the first challenge they meet is the challenge, obstruction of tamas, where you find yourself deluded with fear and you develop a resistant, inertic mind known as the demons Madhu and Kaitaba. And you feel like a victim when your mind is set like this. You're blaming everybody else. You're stuck. You're in darkness. In fact, these 2 demons, Madhu and Kaitaba, they want to remain in cosmic ignorance. So when you're stuck like this, he talks about to invoke the Divine Mother as Mahakali, who comes to awaken our consciousness, Vishnu, awaken us to the problems and difficulties that we're facing, awaken us to that our actions have consequences, and what we're doing is creating harm to ourselves and others. And you invoke that Divine Mother to drive out that fear, to destroy those impurities, telling you, you're right, life has a purpose, and struggle to move that inertic energy out of you. You come to the second challenge. The second challenge is the second story in the Chandi, which is the challenge of rajas, the obstructions of rajas. And here you find yourself deluded with the need for power, control and manipulation. And it creates what's called the controlling, arrogant mind, known as a demon called Mahishasura. I think there's someone waiting in the wait. Mahishasura. And this is a buffalo demon. It's our Rajasic ego, who needs to be right, in control, needs to be respected. And it's fighting for control, sometimes in our relationships, in our money, for recognition. So what we're doing here is we invoke the divine as Durga or Mahalakshmi by surrendering to her. By surrendering to her, seeing that everything is happening by her will, to stop feeling the burden that we have all the responsibility lies within us, that we have to take care of everything. And then he talks about a third story, which you discover are the obstructions of sattva, where you're deluded with pride, identification. And in that, you develop what's called the prideful, conceitful mind, known as Shumba, the demons Shumba and Nishumba. Shumba literally means Shum, light. It means I-ness, I, Asmita. Nishumba is his brother, which means minus. I-ness and its power to cling, minus, always go together. And they cling to all the various identities. And in the Sattvic world, you cling to the identity that you are a spiritual sadhaka. You have knowledge. You have pride in your knowledge. You have pride in even your meditations. And you have this feeds your spiritual ego. And here the idea is to invoke the Devi as Mahasaraswati, to gain knowledge and remove the ignorance and be detached from all those identities. Ultimately, the hero going through the journey returns home transformed, to share their knowledge with what they've learned with others, and has become liberated from all the pain and suffering that they experience. The actual pain was the attachment. They become liberated from that attachment. And in our Ramakrishna order, this is actually the goal of the Ramakrishna order. Atmana mokshartam jagadhitaya cha, for one's own liberation and for the good of the world. So this is the reference of the Chandi seen through the lens of the hero's journey. And what we may discover is that the Divine Mother, this Adi Shakti, has been in the center, guiding our experience, helping us face the challenges needed to awaken and manifest our hidden divinity. And why we've taken this path, why Mother has chosen to help us but not cripple us, is that every obstruction we face is an obstacle where we have to go through to unleash our hidden divinity until it fully manifests at the end of this journey. And what you'll see here, the question then will be asked, then, who is this Divine Mother? Who is she? Well, the Divine Mother, we know, is this primordial divine energy, Shakti, and she is none other than Brahman itself. She projects the world and again withdraws it. She's our universal and ultimately real mother, an infinite consciousness which responds to our needs. For those of us who seek a response from the infinite consciousness, who need guidance, support, love, and liberation, the Chandi, the scripture, makes it known that we have an eternal mother who's present to us and we can turn to. And what you'll discover is that Divine Mother has two sides. There's a side called Ambika, which is the supporting, caring, nurturing mother, and a side to her called Chandika, which is a destructive, ferocious, Chandi means ferocious, subduing, disciplinating side to her. She's loving to her children, but she's ferocious to its enemies. And as we've seen in the Chandi, that Divine Mother has three faces. She's in the Chandi, she's known as Mahakali, the destructive aspect of the mother. She also seen as Mahalakshmi, the giving, providing, sustenance aspect of the mother, the one who gives us bhukti and mukti, will give us spiritual gifts and also material gifts. And she's also known as Saraswati, the revealing aspect of the Divine Mother, who gives us knowledge and removes our ignorance. So let me say here, then, let me stop share. We all have different karmas now that we come in through, different terrains that we have to go through. And the Divine Mother is there to guide us. She is hidden, but when called upon, she comes to our support and aid. So what we start to see now is in the Chandi, the Divine Mother manifests as who? She manifests more as what we call the Chandika side, the mother who kills the demons. You'll see in the Chandi itself, there's a lot of fighting going on. The Divine Mother is fighting our negative energies, what's called these asuras, our inner demons. So there's a resistance and warfare where the ego is about fighting for survival and the Divine Mother is trying to annihilate it. And the mother has these various weapons. She's got a sword, like the sword of discrimination, the sword of her intellect that cuts through the negativity. She's got arrows symbolizing higher thoughts, which neutralize the lower energies. She's got a club to beat the demons with, and she has an axe to show no fear. And when you read it, if you read it, you're going to see there's a lot of blood, a lot of death, a lot of gory death there. And some people can't digest it. So another way of seeing this is in the Ramakrishna order, we have the belief that Holy Mother, Sri Sharda Devi, is also this same universal Divine Mother. And if we recognize her as the Divine Mother, then we see more the expression of Ambika, that loving, nurturing, embracing mother. And if that were the case, then what are her weapons? What are the weapons of Holy Mother? Does anybody want to say anything here? What do you think some of her weapons are? Do we have like a raise of hands? We can. Yes, Lisa?
I think she kind of kills you with kindness. You know, her kindness is a weapon.
Weapons? Yes. Anybody else? Okay, so that's good. Yes, kindness, love, affection, acceptance, seeing same-sidedness. These are the weapons you find of the Holy Mother. So instead of fighting, discriminating, killing, and neutralizing these asuras, what Holy Mother does is she disarms, she softens, she embraces, and she melts these demons, our egos. In fact, Ramakrishna says, in Parabhakti, the lower self melts like butter in the warmth of unselfish, one-pointed love for God. So do you start to see that the demons are killed in the end, but what is different is the strategy. So what would happen if we reframe Holy Mother as the Devi in the Chandi, then how would that journey take place? That's the question that I'm posing to you guys. So what I'd like to do now, this is the question that I asked myself. And let's go back and reframe the hero's journey according to putting the Devi, Holy Mother, at the center, at the hub of the Chandi. And let's see what would happen. All right, well, we know in the first part of the hero's journey, there's a sense of separation. And we know that basically we are the hero. We're faced with the challenge that we have to overcome. For Surat and Samadhi, their challenge was attachment. What would your challenge be that you would have to overcome? What has brought you here to spiritual life? I just want you to think about this. I want to sort of put you in their scenario because you are Surata and Samadhi. The Chandi is about you, about all of us, about not you, me, all of us. So, putting there, we find that something has brought us into this life. And there's been a deep cut, a deep wound that we've experienced. And that deep wound has opened us up now. And in opening us up, we become receptive to a higher voice. This is the voice of the Guru. Here, the two characters, Surat and Samadhi, meet Vedas. Vedas can be thought of in the hero's journey as one who has gone through the journey and now can be seen to guide us. Vedas can actually literally mean a higher, awakened, intuitive mind. And what is the job of the Guru? Vedas here? It's to bring you to the Divine Mother. It's to link you to your Ishta Devata. That is the job of Vedas. So, and then this, I want to say, there's an example that Ramakrishna had given. He says, he asked Holy Mother this question, have you ever played Ashta Kashte? I'm just curious, has anybody ever played this? This is an Indian chess game. Anybody's ever played by show of hands? No? Okay. So he goes on to say, as I understand, it's like a chess game played with dice. He says, when playing the game, if two pieces are paired, then no one can strike them off. Then you can move anywhere. You will not be killed. Similarly, if one should be paired with one's Ishta, then there's nothing to fear. What Vedas here is trying to take us is trying to take us to our eternal soulmate. So if any of you are single, this is the opportunity now to find who your eternal soulmate is and be paired up with them. Then they ask the question, why are we attached to the things that cause us suffering? My mind knows I should let go of what my family has done to me. But I can't. The heart won't let me. Why? Why? That's the question, essentially. And the Guru, Vedas, says, the answer to your problem is due to Mahamaya. She has put everyone into this delusion. Not only you, but everyone in existence is put under this delusion. But through her grace, she can also remove it. Samohitam Devi Samastam Etat Tvam Vai Prasanna Bhuvi Mukti Hetuhu. She is the cause of bondage, Nigraha. She's also the bestower of grace, Anugraha. So the question they ask now, after listening to Vedas, is then, well, who is this Divine Mother? What is her form? And what is her power? These are the questions that are asked in the Chandi. And as we just discussed in the Chandi, that she takes the form of Kali. Kali is the power to destroy. She takes the form of Lakshmi. Lakshmi is the power to give. She takes the form of Saraswati, Saraswati is the form, is the power to reveal knowledge. So the question we may be asking, if Holy Mother now is in the Divine Mother, then who is Holy Mother? That's a question that would come to our mind. Who is Holy Mother? What are her powers? And what form does she take? That's the question that comes up. And if most of you know that Holy Mother, when you read through the reminiscences if you've taken a book like Swami Chaitananda's book, you'll see that Holy Mother comes in many manifestations. In fact, there's a good book, I didn't bring it here, called, I forget what it's called, I forget exactly, it shows Sri Ramakrishna, the manifestations of gods and goddesses. I don't think that's the exact title. But in that book, they have Holy Mother and all the various manifestations and forms that Holy Mother took. So what you'll discover is that Ramakrishna has said that Holy Mother is Saraswati, the giver of knowledge. Swami Vivekananda has said Holy Mother is Bagala. She's taking the form as Durga. Holy Mother herself has said that she is Lakshmi. She said, I sit next to Narayana in Vaikuntha. So these are various things. But let's look at the experience of some devotees, what they said who Holy Mother is. There's a disciple called Kush Kumari who describes in a vision that Holy Mother was in an effulgence. I saw Mother naked, sitting naked, and from her body, millions and millions of jivas were being born. And as soon as the jivas are born, Mother would eat them up. In another, when Mother was asked who you are, she said, I am Bhagavati, which is a reference in the Chandi, the Divine Mother of the universe. Is there anyone not born out of my womb? I am the only mother of the universe. Is there any other mother? Even the ants and insects are my offspring. So we start to get the feeling she is this universal mother giving birth to all of us. You know, in fact, there's a beautiful vision, let me just describe, that Sri Ramakrishna had, where he said that there was a long white thread proceeding out of herself, referring to himself, Ramakrishna. At the end would be a mass of light, and the mass would open up, and within it, there was a mother with a veena, an instrument. And when she began to play that veena, birds, animals, and worlds came out of that veena, appeared. Then she would stop playing, and they would all begin to disappear. The light would grow less and less distinct till it just became a luminous mass. The string would grow shorter and shorter, and the whole world would be absorbed into herself again. And one last thing I want to mention here is there's a vision by Chandradatta, who said she had a vision of Holy Mother as Jagadatri. And when she saw this vision, she was petrified by seeing this huge luminous form. An ethereal glow emanated from Holy Mother. Her eyes were dazzled with the brilliance of that glow. And when looking at it, Chandradatta couldn't stand it and fell to the feet of the Mother. So what you start to see when you get this idea of who Holy Mother is to me, you start to feel a little bit maybe nervous if you were to have this experience. You're almost frightful, like the Vishvarupa Darshana that Arjuna had in the Bhagavad Gita. You may expect to see this grandiose figure, Cosmic Mother, as Kali, the wielder of time, destroying everything in her path with all these arms larger than life. So imagine your surprise if you're to go and meet the Holy Mother and find that she's just a sweet, loving, friendly, motherly figure. Now, maybe I can ask you, why this contradiction here? Why do you think these people seeing this cosmic mother, that we described in the Chandi, why does she come in a motherly form, in a human form? I want to ask this question, you guys. My question is why? Why this contradiction? Yes?
So that she's relatable to us, so that we can identify. I think her greatest power is that she can endure. She's endured a hard life. And so if we think if she could endure this life, I can endure this life.
Right, very good. Yes, thank you. Anybody else? Rita, does anything come to you?
About a mother?
Yes, why does mother take on the cosmic divine mother? Why does she take on this when we see her in this loving human, just sort of grandmotherly figure? So
Mother has so many different aspects depending on our own mental state. I feel like the patterns in my mind which need to be resolved, she appears to me at that moment. So I've seen mother in her fierce forms, and I've seen her in her kindness, and I've seen her in a form where she's held me like a child. And if I'm fearful, sometimes I say, you do it. I can't do it. I've just become, at one point I had a big project and I said, you do it. How do you expect me to do it? And she did. I'm sorry to say, I just didn't become irresponsible, but I had nowhere to turn to. I don't know if that answers the question.
Okay, so partially yes. To me, it seems like why she becomes this motherly figure here in our eyes is, as Lisa was referring to become relatable with. One you can create intimacy with. One you can have a loving relationship with. If you're to see the mother in her cosmic form, you would feel more a sense of reverence, of awe, of wow. There would be a distance between you and the mother. Mother takes on and she puts through her own power, her own veil of Maya. Through her Maya, she doesn't veil us. She veils who? She veils herself. So that she can be relatable, so that she can create closeness, so she can create a bond with us. That's the specialty and Leela of Holy Mother as Holy Mother in this incarnation. Swami Vivekananda would say that she's an incarnation of Bhagala, now in the form of Saraswati. In the external form, she's calm and benign, but in her inner form, she's formidable. Do you know when Vivekananda Swamiji would see her? Do you know that before seeing her, he'd drink lots of Ganges water? And then when he saw her, he'd start trembling in her fear? He would see the Aishwarya aspect, that cosmic aspect of the mother. But to all of us, mother wanted to show her Madhurya aspect, her loving, sweet, benevolent side. She didn't want us to feel awe. She wanted us to come, my child. So that is the reason to me why mother takes on this form that she has. And she simply presents herself as our mother. So now, with this in mind, what would be the experience you think if you met mother? What would you feel like? What would you experience if you actually met her in the present state? Well, what I'm going to do is, from various accounts of those who have met Mother, I'm going to give you compile a sense of what it would be like. First, you may feel a sense of familiarity. When you look into her eyes, you may feel that, I've seen her before. I've seen you before. Maybe in a dream, somewhere, but you are recognizable. I've seen you. Second, you would feel like she's my own. You're my very own. When Holy Mother was asked, are you my own? She would say, is there any doubt about it? If a man is a very own of another, they remain inseparably connected in the cycle of time. Third, you may feel like a child when you're in her presence. When Swami Harinamananda, Guru Nanak Maharaj, was asked how he felt when he was initiated by Holy Mother, he said, the world dissolved and I felt like a baby sitting in my mother's lap. And fourth, a lot of people actually experienced her as their own biological mother. There's a young boy from East Bengal, Gyan. He came to the Holy Mother. He was initiated by the Holy Mother. And after initiation, Holy Mother told her to bow down to Sri Ramakrishna. And he said, I don't want to bow down to Sri Ramakrishna. I want to bow down to you. You're my guru. And Holy Mother says, no, I'm your mother. And then the little boy Gyan says, no, my mother's in East Bengal. And the mother says that, no, I am your mother. Look at me. And what the boy saw was his mother appear. He saw Holy Mother appearing as his mother. And he writes in his reminiscence, not only did I feel she was a mother in this birth, but I feel she's been the mother, my own mother, in every birth. She's been my eternal mother. And lastly, you may feel that this is someone I can take refuge in. She's someone I can open up to completely be myself, because in her presence, I feel she loves me just for me, for not what I've done, not for my education or who I am, just for me. She has no judgment. She loves me just for me. Then I may ask you, if that's the way we experience Mother, then what do you think would be the process that the Divine Mother would make herself relatable to you? What is the process that she would create a motherly bond with you? Remember, as an avatar, she descends. Avatar means that she descends to come to us. She's coming to meet us. She wants to be right with us. So how does she break down the barriers so she's right there with us? Well, I'm going to give you basically an idea based on one reminiscence with Holy Mother. And the idea is that if you came into Holy Mother's place, she'd probably greet you right at the door. And with a very friendly smile, she would ask you, where did you come from? And as you heard these words, you'd feel that she's speaking to me as if she's known me for a long time. What I'm sharing with you is an actual reminiscence. I'm just putting you in the framework. Then she may ask you about your family. And this would be a way of creating more intimacy, of just breaking down your barriers, that you feel more comfortable with her. Then what she would do is she would take an asana and lay it down. And she'd ask you to sit there. And as you sat there, guess what she would do? She'd come and bring a plate of food for you. She'd lay that food plate down and tell you, eat, don't be shy, my child, eat. And as you're eating, she would keep serving you with her own hands. And sitting across from you, as you finished your eating, she'd look over you in a loving glance and ask you, "What is it you want, my child?" And in that sense, you would start to break down a little bit. You may say, "I want to talk to you." And then the Divine Mother, Holy Mother, would say, "What is it you want to talk about?" Hearing her words, from seeing this non-imposing figure, from her greeting you, from her asking about yourself, placing a seat, serving you food, feeling a sense of intimacy, you start to feel that she sees me like no one has ever seen me before. She recognizes me for who I am. And as you begin to soften up, you start to feel yourself wanting to pour forth everything you have about yourself. All the difficulties, all the struggles, all the things you didn't even know, all the little inner demons you had no idea that were hiding in your unconscious mind, all start to come out, maybe in tears, and start to pour forth at the divine, grace of the divine of Mother. Just seeing her beautiful face. And as you pour forth before her, she may open up to you and says, "Child, I understand. Let me tell you how to face your inner demons." And this would open up now the side of the Chandi that she'd bring forth to you. When facing our tamasic ego, we may tell Mother that we're experiencing depression, addictions, loneliness, a reluctance to move out of our lives because we feel stuck. And that when that pain comes up, what do? We grab the cookies. We grab the Haagen-Dazs ice cream because we don't want to deal with that pain. We don't want to deal with that suffering. We don't want to deal with the things that's what Madhu Kaitava. Madhu is the sweetness of staying in ignorance. Madhu means sweetness. And Kaitava comes from Ketu, a bee, the critical voice within us that says, "You're not good enough. You're not worthy enough. You're not beautiful enough." And so when these come up, the Divine Mother who sees us knows actually what we're desiring as the cookies and ice cream is actually a longing for connection, a longing for understanding, a longing for acceptance. And she may say to us, "Never fear. Whenever you're in distress, just say to yourself, 'I have a mother. I have a mother.'" To me, this seems to be the mantra that she's telling us to say whenever we're experiencing tamasic feelings. When I'm feeling loneliness, depression, say to yourself, "I have a mother. I have a mother." Because being in her presence, remembering her, begins to feel the longing that we have, and the loneliness begins to be dissolved because she's saying we are connected to her at all times. Recognize that. Then you may ask, "But Mother, I feel so impure and unworthy." She would say, "If my child gets covered with mud or dust, is it not my duty to cleanse him and take him on my lap?" Pray to God with tears in your eyes when you're feeling like that. Whenever you're faced with any doubt or any difficulty, these are the words of Mother. The Lord will remove all your impurities, assuage you of mental anguish, and give you enlightenment. "But Mother, I feel so stuck. I can't even do any spiritual practice because I have this brain fog. I just don't feel like doing anything." What would mother say? Never mind. Just look at the picture of the master. Don't worry about your meditation. Just try to remember the master. That is enough. That is enough. And what we discover is that when we're in Thomas, Holy Mother becomes a refuge. We feel safe, protected, and loved. We feel everything will be just fine. When we're facing a Rajasic ego, when we encounter our need for control and power, when we want all the situations to go our way, I've got to do it. It's got to go like this. Because otherwise, if it doesn't happen, we feel things will fall apart. And if it doesn't happen, we become angry and aggressive. It's the pushy, the Mahishasura, where we have to be right, we have to be heard, we have to be respected. When that Mahishasura rises for us, what does the mother see? The mother sees that that need we have is actually a longing for security, recognition, and respect. And your conversation with the mother may go like this. Mother, I thought you did everything, and I was only an instrument. Then why do I feel the need for appreciation? Why do I feel the need for recognition, which gets me in trouble? I really feel irritated about this. Mother would say, yes, it is true that we are like puppets, and he has the string in his hands. But are we conscious of it? Infatuated by our vanity, we think we're doing everything. He who depends upon God is saved by the troubles by his grace. But mother, I get so angry. Why don't people listen to me? If they did, things would just work out. She would say, my child, if you want peace, do not find fault with others. Rather, learn to see your own faults. Learn to make the world yourself your own. But mother, when someone offends me, should I not scold them and put them in their place? Mother would say, one should not hurt others even by words. One must not speak even an unpleasant truth unnecessarily. By indulging in rude words, one's natures become rude and one's sensitivity is lost. What we start to see is what Mother is saying, the sadhana for to dissolve, not annihilate, to dissolve our Mahishasura is surrender. She says, free yourself from all anxieties by entrusting your future to me. Free yourself from all the anxieties by entrusting your future to me. When we do this, we see Mother becomes the source of our security, the source of our protection and safety. When we surrender to her, we start to feel she takes responsibility for us. And we're thereby relieved of the responsibility for controlling things, people, and places. And finally, when facing our Shumba Nishumba, our spiritual pride, because once we become sort of satisfied and content with the outer achievements of the world, we start to turn within. And we no longer want to conquer the outer world. And in the third story, it's about conquering the inner world. You'll see Shumba Nishumba, they start to feel themselves equal to the Divine Mother. Whereas previously, in the previous stories, we felt inferior to the Divine Mother. That's why you'll find they all want to kill her. So, in the third, we feel we want to marry that Divine Mother. So we start to feel pride in our spiritual practices, in our renunciation, in our ideas. We have a sattvic mind. Now, ideas pop within us. We can grasp things very easily. But all of us develops what's called the spiritual ego. And that is our shumba nishumba. When faced with these problems, the shumba nishumba, we feel the need to cling to our identities. The Divine Mother understands that this longing to try to define yourself actually comes from the longing for transcendence, to know your real identity. So your discussion may be with Mother that, Mother, what happens after realizing God? Do I discover who I am? And what? And then Mother would say, what does one become by realizing God? Does one get two horns? No. What happens is the person develops discrimination between the real and the unreal, gets spiritual consciousness, and goes beyond life and death. When one attains true knowledge, God himself ceases to exist separately. One calls upon the Eternal Mother, and in the end finds her in all creation. Everything then becomes one. That is all. And that's what happened in the Chandi. When Shumba Nishumba is destroyed, there's nothing but the presence of Mother. So in all of this, what am I trying to show here? I'm trying to show that however we eradicate the demons, whether it's the Divine Mother that's employing the tools of weapons, using the sword of discrimination, the power to detach, or whether it's the attraction for the love of Mother, to melt away this tamasic, rajasic, sattvic ego, the outcome is the same: transformation and illumination. But if you ask me, what's the special significance of Sri Sharda Devi? I would say, I had a discussion with one Swami, Swami Shuddhidatananda, in Advaita Ashram. And in discussion, something came out I thought was really interesting. Talking about the specialty of Mother. And he was saying that, you know, in these scriptures, we keep hearing the same message again and again. That surrender to me, and I will, and everything will be fine. We hear these things in the Upanishads. We hear these things of Bhagavad Sri Krishna. But when Mother says this to us, the Holy Mother, we find that in her package, in her personality, the way she says it to us, the way that first she creates intimacy, the way that she creates love, the way that she unlocks all our inner resistance, the way that she makes us feel like a baby in her lap. And as a baby, you don't think anymore. You just are. You just feel loved. And in that feeling of love, when the Divine Mother speaks these words to you, you wholeheartedly accept it. You wholeheartedly digest it. And you assimilate it. That is the beauty and specialty of Sri Sharda Devi, Holy Mother. And that is what I find the beauty if we put her in the scenario of the Chandi. The scenario is, let her melt your little inner demons away and let you be loved. Feel her love in her presence. So that is the way that I see it. So thank you for allowing me to share this process with you here. In fact, I just wanted to show you, I think I may have just some photographs here when I just want to show this photo. There's here, right here. I mean, this photograph here is the first photograph that was taken of Holy Mother. And you can just see how shy she was, how do you imagine the greatness of mother? How much power it takes for her to cover herself up? Imagine the power, the infinite power, now condensing itself, covering itself up, not showing any expression whatsoever. How much power does that take? Also, that we can create intimacy, bonding, and love with her. I think that's something, it's something special. It's a beautiful way to see the Divine Mother. And you know, the path of bhakti here is a path, you know, of just, I think of a journey where you hold the mother's hand, face everything, but knowing she will call. She said, anytime any child that calls me mother, I cannot resist. I must come. That should be the mantra for our age. Mother. Anytime in difficulties, anytime in troubles, always say, I have a mother. And she comes. So, is there anything, any comments anybody would like to share?
I really love that last part that you said about how, you know, we're like a baby and we accept it, because I think there's a little bit of disconnect in the Upanishads and everything when all these big, powerful men are saying, surrender to me, you know, and we're like, do we trust this person? How do we do that? We don't know what that means. But when your mom says, hey, I got you, you automatically trust and you're like, okay, I'm going with it.
That's an important point. Actually, the point was that you have to have, there's a concept, shraddha. You have to have shraddha. You have to have that faith in,
yes.
in who's saying it to you. So the idea is that you're exactly right, that it's easier to have that shraddha with the Divine Mother. Because when you look into her eyes, you just feel she has no other agenda. It's only for your well-being. Even our own parents have their own agendas, no matter how unselfish and loving. Everybody has some type of agenda, but her agenda is for our own benefit. So you're absolutely right. The more shraddha you have in the words, the more those words become alive and the more it becomes activated within us. Exactly. That's the key to this. Yes. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you for this. This was a wonderful talk. Every time you share your ideas and teach, there's so much to learn and absorb. And I wanted to say one more thing about Holy Mother, a story where her reaching out to people is not just to other human beings, but to both sentient and insentient. One day, one person was sweeping the floor, and after they finished sweeping, they just threw the broom aside, and mother said, child, this broom has helped you. We need to be caring towards this broom. See how you would put it away? And she showed how to gently put it away. See, this broom is going to help you again tomorrow. And that was one thing. And then there was a cat in their house, and she loved that cat. And she said, there's consciousness in this cat. You really need to pay attention to this cat as well. And they would feed the cat some milk.
You're right, Rita. Beautiful. You're right. She saw consciousness in all. So inanimate objects, animate objects. You're right. In fact, remember one thing. One of the beauties of the Divine Mother here, Holy Mother especially, is she saw the same consciousness both in the wicked and the virtuous. She would treat Amja. She would treat the same, with same respect of the robber. She'd give the same respect and love as she would with Swami Harinamananda, the General Secretary of the Ramakrishna Order. And that's why we see in the Chandi, even the Asuras are her children. The Asuras have come out of the Divine Mother herself. She is the mother of all. So that's what I love about her, is her, to me, that's one of the gifts, is her all-embracing love. And to me, when I think about her life, that is the one thing that I think that resonates with me the most. How to give unconditional love. how to love others. And especially now, when we think about politics, or we think about all, there's so many ways of creating barriers. How can we see that same-sidedness? How can we see to pay that same respect in everybody? So thank you, Rita, for sharing that.
Well, Swami, thank you so much. We've had a total immersion in Mother, thanks to you. And it's been a wonderful, wonderful morning, afternoon, evening for everybody who, wherever they are. And thank you so much. And we hope to see you very, very soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane.